Welcome to PHIL 2103, Introduction to Philosophy and Ethics. This is your introduction video. So I recommend watching this very closely because in this you will find what it looks like to take this class. In fact, we'll talk about what the class is about and, more importantly, how to succeed in it. So, first of all, my name is Lee Brown. I've been teaching this class on site, on campus here at Mid-America for the last few years. I want to tell you just a little bit about what to expect in this class. First of all, as you can understand from the title of the class, this will be an introduction to philosophy and ethics. So let's first focus on that introduction part. This class will not be terribly in-depth on each issue that we're going to cover, and we are going to cover a broad range of topics. But you will, in taking this course, get an introduction to a wide variety of philosophical understandings. We'll cover all 5 of the main branches of philosophy, including ethics, which has been broken out into its own section, the latter half of this course. You'll cover and learn metaphysics, you'll learn epistemology, you'll learn aesthetics, and you'll learn logic, among other things. You'll also learn what it means to get into a proper argumentation. Now, this doesn't mean bickering back and forth, but it means seeing a person or a position and debating the merits of that position. This does not mean attacking another person or coming against another person, but it does mean critically reflecting on different viewpoints and ways of seeing reality. In this course, you'll want to know how to make a good grade. And in teaching this class on campus, the first class every semester, I always go through what it looks like to make a good grade in this class. Because even though this is an online course, this is not a get-me-by course. This course will challenge you. There is a good amount of reading and a good amount of work that needs to be done in order to succeed. So how do you succeed in this course? First of all, I would treat your online course schedule just as you would a physical on-campus schedule. That means scheduling specific times and hours that you'll be working on your material. It means setting aside time to study, and among other things. You're also going to want to turn in your homework on time. Now that sounds like a no-brainer, but every semester I have students who lose points just simply because they didn't turn their homework in on time. And the later your homework is, the more points you lose, which you'll see in your syllabus, one of the required readings that you have this week. And yes, we do expect you to read through the entire syllabus so that you know what's going on. The next thing when it comes to reading is make sure that you're reading with understanding. Now, you're going to see that you'll have certain weeks more readings than others, but no matter how much reading you have to do throughout the course, you're going to want to read with understanding, meaning you're not just reading through it one time real quick to say, woo, I got it done, but to read knowing what's in the text. That means for some highlighting, that means for others making notes while you're reading. For some it may mean reading through it multiple times. But know that going into this course, the lecture portion is supposed to be a supplement to the reading, meaning the reading is where you're going to have the bulk of your learning. The lectures will reinforce what you're already learning as you go. You're also going to need to engage in online class discussion. Now, when you engage in online discussion, we do expect this to be done at a collegiate level. That means if you use sources, you do need to cite them. It means that you are writing not as you would on a social media site, but you are writing as if you were writing a paper. For more information on this, make sure you watch the video that it goes over what it looks like to have proper collegiate level writing. You're also going to want to make sure that you do all of your assigned reading on time. This goes back to the fact that you need to read with understanding, but you also do need to read it in a timely manner. Having read the information prior to watching the videos and doing the homework for that week will allow you to have proper levels of insight into what you're talking about. You're going to want to make sure you watch all of these lecture videos. Now, I know that sometimes lecture videos can be dry. I mean, I am talking right now to an empty classroom so that you have the benefit of this. But at the same time, there are going to be little nuggets from the class that you will want to know. You may just get a slightly different perspective on something or a new light shed on it than you did when you were reading through it. One of the key tricks to this is to take notes during lecture videos. And then not only take notes, but also go back and review these notes within 12 hours. When you review and rewrite your notes within 12 hours of having written them, it reestablishes and helps to clear out some pathways in your brain that help you memorize the information better. You're also going to want to prioritize your life. You're paying for this class after all, so it does you no good to to not prioritize this class into your schedule. Meaning that if you are just doing this as an afterthought, if you're doing all of the homework at the last possible minute, you're cheating yourself more than you're cheating anyone else. This means that you're going to need to set aside time to study, and study well, not just having read the material, but going through it and seeing what the key highlighted points are, which is where, again, I recommend highlighting or underlining or taking notes in your book as you read. Feel free to ask your instructor for any clarifications. You can reach myself or whoever may be teaching this class in the future through the D2L email options there, and we are setting aside time to make sure that we respond to you rather quickly. Make sure as you do your papers and as you do any of the assignments coming up that you are following the rubrics. Again, there's another video on here that shows you for each rubric how to go through and see what is required of you in that, but make sure you're following the guidelines set forth on the class rubrics. You also may want to have your papers proofread. There is a grammar and a mechanics section on each of your worldview papers that you need to have, and that section alone can make the difference between an A and a B or a B and a C on any given paper. And historically, students who have not had their papers proofread tend to turn in with simple mistakes being made, ones that were, easily corrected and easily seen if they had just had someone else proofread their paper. It's also a good idea as you're writing your paper or at the end of writing a paper to read through it out loud one time. When you have to say what you've written, you tend to catch those mistakes that you wouldn't have if you just read through it in your mind. Lastly, you're going to want to make sure that you are willing to be tolerant of other viewpoints. This is a class in philosophy which presents different viewpoints in life. So you're going to encounter in this class different viewpoints perhaps from what you have held yourself or what you've come to understand. One of the great things about being a student at this university is that I had a professor who challenged me and said, "Why do you believe what you believe?" Just that simple why question opened up my mind to say, you know what? I don't know why I believe this, I just always have. And as I wrestled with that question, it allowed me to have a deeper and more robust understanding of my beliefs. Lastly, I want to say a couple things that you may want to take seriously, and some of them you may see again in future tests. Hint, hint. First of all, there are two ways to take this class, and I say this on campus just as I'm saying it to you. The two ways to take this class are to take it seriously or to take it again. And every semester I've had students who have taken both options. Marian Wright Edelman has said, "There is no free lunch. Don't feel entitled to anything that you don't sweat and struggle for." And it's an unknown saying as to who said it, but a great saying: pain is inevitable, misery is optional. There are going to be 4 required texts that you'll have for this course. The first one is your Bible. Now, which version of the Bible becomes the first question that is typically asked. For my own understanding, I prefer that you use a more literal translation of the Bible. That would be the New American Standard Bible, the English Standard Version, King James, New King James, NRSV, or etc. I prefer that you don't use the NIV, the Message, or less literal translations. That way you have a better understanding of what's being said in there. But ultimately, make sure that you're reading a Bible that you understand. I mentioned that the King James is a great option. However, if that's not the language of your heart, if you don't typically speak in thee and thou in your head, maybe use the New King James or the ESV, something that is literal to the original text, but not necessarily so clunky or so outdated in translation. The next book that you're going to use is Martin Luther King Jr.'s Strength to Love. This is an amazing snapshot into the mind and heart, not only of Dr. King, but of a generation and what was going on in that world. We will be dealing with some of the historical aspects that Dr. King dealt with. This is an amazing text, and you'll find some of the greatest things that you've ever read through Martin Luther King's work. And the next one is Ultimate Questions by Niels Rauhoud. This is your primary philosophy book. You'll notice that this is written not from a Christian perspective whatsoever, so you're getting a good engagement in what it looks like to have a general understanding of philosophy. Your next book is Moral Choices by Scott Ray. Now this is written from a Christian perspective, and it does cover the ethical side of the course. You'll notice that this is an introduction to philosophy and ethics, but it is a Christian-based introduction, meaning that you will have a Christ-focused center on this, not only in your reading, but in your papers as well. You will have other readings posted throughout the course on D2L. As you read through your syllabus and as you read through your course schedule of activities, these will be listed and noted which ones you are required to read. These will typically be found in your course content section on the D2L tab. You'll also need to be familiar with your syllabus, your course content as mentioned, and another sheet that is your study guide and term sheet, which will be used for your matching quizzes coming up later in the semester. All course material will be posted from the start on D2L, so you can work ahead if you see fit. There are also going to be some recommended texts throughout that are not required, but again are just simply supplemental material that you may find helpful. If you're following along on the D2L PowerPoint slides that go with this, you'll see some books that I've recommended in the past right here. Your class will be broken down into 4 primary categories. The first of this is class participation. This will be 30% or 300 points of your grade. Class participation does include written assignments that are done outside of your major worldview papers, as well as class discussion and your reading reports, among other things. You'll have 3 primary written assignments, each being presented from a Christian worldview. The first one will be over the idea of relativism, or objective truth, the second one over sexual ethics, and the third over pacifism and the just war theory. You also have 3 tests given throughout different points in the semester, each of which will be worth 100 points or 10% of your final grade. And lastly, you will have a creative project that will also be worth 10% of your final grade. Each of these will be outlined in their own videos so that you can know individually what is expected of you on those. Here's an ancient prayer real quick that I always start this class off with, and once more you may see again in the future with a wink wink hint hint. Maybe write this down. It says, "From the cowardice that shrinks from new truth, from the laziness that is content with half-truths, from the arrogance that thinks it knows all truth, O God of truth, deliver us." You'll notice as we get into the next video even that theology is an underlining understanding. It is a complementary view that philosophy will have, and we will be engaging in it throughout. But as we get into the ethical section, I also want to give you one more quote that you may see in the future from Pastor Rick Warren. He says, "Our culture has accepted 2 huge lies. The first is that if you disagree with someone's lifestyle, you must fear them or hate them. The second is that to love someone means you agree with everything they believe or do. Both of these are nonsense. You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate." And you'll want to take a deep understanding of what that quote has to say. Because in this class, you will be challenging others' viewpoints and point of views. This does not mean that you hate them. This does not mean that because you disagree with them, that you cannot love them as a person. Society has taught us that if we disagree with someone, we should unfollow them on their social media. We should leave them, should desert them, rather than, as philosophy is designed to do, engaging in discussion to see where truth might be found. This has been your introduction video. Each of these videos will be, between 5 to 15 minutes long, and will have great information that you'll need to know. I would recommend watching this one more time just to get some of the details that were in here, because again, this is setting the groundwork for the entire course. So I would close with this. One of my professors when I was at Mid-America always used to tell me this simple phrase, and I repeat it multiple times throughout the course here on campus. And it's simply this: you are going to play the way you practice. So I recommend that you take your education seriously, because as a graduate of this university, as one who's gone on to master's work and gone on to work in not only the church but also in the school here, I can tell you with 100% certainty that that is absolutely true. People play the way they practice. Right now you are practicing for that big game, whether it's in a business career, whether it's in pastoral ministry, whether you go on to teach, whatever you happen to do, the way that you act then will be shaped by how you treat class right now. So go back over this video and see what it looks like to treat this class well. It will serve you well in the future. Thank you, and I'm excited to take this journey with you.